Tastiest show of 100.4.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Taranaki Foodies with Huakai Bar and Bistro, the tastiest food show on the Most FM. We talk about hospitality, food, drinks, everything edible in our beautiful Taranaki, and of course music, because we are the radio show. Today it's Elena Williams and Warwick Foy in the studio of the Most FM. And we have a very interesting guest today. It's Douglas from Theoretical Brewer. Hello, Douglas.
Hi.
So, first of all, we're going to listen to some music that you have chosen for us, and it is Failure by Breaking Benjamin. We can't put it on stream for longer than 30 seconds because they'll block us. But it's
The license for the music.
license for the music because YouTube, Facebook, and not Twitter yet, but they'll be.
Yeah, we pay, most of them pays a license to play it, but not the YouTube.
Yeah, because we have so many channels. So, but we can chat through the music, and it's actually quite fun.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people say during the chat something that they don't say on the radio on here.
Yeah.
So,
Have you got a
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I got one more.
asking a person who's the brewer about do you have an opener? You probably have this on a fridge, in your purse. I think you have a purse.
There's one on each side of my countertops, you know.
As a merch?
Hey? No, so that's actually my I think that's my father-in-law. He buys a lot of that product, so they just get a lot of that stuff. So.
Nice. I got a Mike's one on my keyring, but
Yeah.
my keys.
No, we'll do merch at some stage, but right now it's just building that badge.
Yeah, cool.
Mhm.
That's a good decision.
Yeah, we'll get to the merch and like jerseys and
Even us have merch. We have t-shirts.
yeah.
I think I sold only one in the 4 years of Taranaki Foodies existence.
Oh really?
People-
Like you do
people-
a giveaway of it. Or something.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a non-commercial radio station. It is, we've got lots of samples and food, but it's not a monetary transition. So it's, yeah. But merch is a really good thing because I also wanted to develop something like a stickers. So if we go to the place or work and we both like it, we can give them a sticker that it was kind of checked by Taranaki Foodies. It would be good.
My advice to you is don't put a year on it.
Yeah.
Do that with soda, and all of a sudden they're out of date, and you're like,
Oh,
oh,
gosh,
the
it's
new
awesome.
one's printed, and we've got to take
They
them
did that
off.
with the beer fest as well because I was like 1st and 2nd of April. But obviously it was going to happen in like August, so then all these cups with people like, oh, what was it? Beer fest Taranaki 2000 and whatever, and then like April 1st and 2nd, I was like, oh, it's a little bit out of date here.
What did you think of that festival?
Oh, it was great.
I thought it was really
It was fantastic. Like, cause, the way they did the lighting, it, as it started going through the night, it was actually really well, and the layout was really good. So
I honestly, I didn't have high expectations, but
really,
yeah, I thought
no,
it
there
would be.
was so much work that went in
Yeah.
in the background of it. So like when we actually shot it, I was like, wow, everything. It was really well organized.
All the brewers said that.
And you showed up and it was like, oh yeah, put this stuff in, blah 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 blah. And then like in like 2 hours, everyone was set up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh okay, what do you do? I'm just gonna get some food, have some lunch, come back and see you in a couple hours,
Cool. Good.
Who's in a committee to organize all this?
KDJ.
Yeah, okay. Brett Kirsten, his name was.
Brett did a good job.
Yeah, he did a great job actually. It was really when stuff needed happening, it's like, Brett, can we sort the stuff out?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Like,
Oh, that's great. I had a problem with my ticket. Instead of me having to solve it,
Yeah.
the lady just took my phone, went over to the laptop, came back, printed out a new one. There you go.
yeah.
I was like, this is good.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good, and like the atmosphere was really good. That was the main thing. Like everyone had a real good time. So,
Yeah, great.
The atmosphere comes from the good organization, otherwise everyone will be too stressed. Welcome back to Taranaki Foodies with Huakai Bar and Bistro. It's us, Elena Williams, Warwick Foy, and our wonderful guest, Douglas from Theoretical Brewer. We just listened to a song that he had chosen for the beginning of the show. It's Failure by Breaking Benjamin. Can you please enlighten us? Why did you choose the song?
I don't know. Well, Breaking Benjamin is my favorite band since I was
Okay.
young. I mean, they did the soundtracks for the Halo series
Okay.
early in the piece. I think it was Halo 2. They had a few of this can't remember the name of the song now. But they did that, and like, yeah, the sort of music just kind of.
I love cooking, and I have special cooking music. It has to be a little bit of a Latina in it. But what about brewing? Is brewing require special music or song?
Maybe, but like in my brewery, I've got a gas burner, so that's quite loud. So any music that you play, you probably get drowned out during the brewing. But yeah, I guess eventually, if we went a different way, if we had quite a brewery in there, that might be okay to have some sound systems and play some music. But generally, once I'm brewing, I sort of focus, So it's.
Out of the people in this room, I'm probably the less knowledgeable about beer. So, work as being a president of Society of Beer Advocates, probably not anymore.
Not for long.
Not for long.
No,
Oh my gosh.
I've got 4 weeks left.
Oh no!
Someone else will do that.
Yeah.
Do you have a replacement? You have to prepare your replacement, otherwise the things like that don't happen.
It's not up to me to do that. It's a democratic process, but
yeah.
I do have someone in mind that I've given some encouragement to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are situated in Bellblog, and I remember when you opened. How long ago? Probably 5 years ago. Or something?
Yeah, we moved up there in 2017. But we only opened, I think, 2018 because it took a while to build.
It was a big buzz because you were one of the first who decided to create like a yard with the food trucks, and it was such a good thing.
It was good. It was just hard getting that traction of people coming out and getting food truck involved as well. But Bellblock's grown so much in the last 4 or 5 years that we've got a regular stream of customers for takeaways that we've actually decided like, hey, we're going to build a little bit of a barbecue garden bar out where we are, and try and capture that.
Because that's been an interesting dynamic for you, is the license situation. You haven't had an on license. You have done tastings, but you can't sell. It's all takeaways.
Yeah, for our events, we do like a special license, like from the council, obviously, just to sort of test the waters to see how it's going to work. And then, we did one 4 years ago, and it was good. Don't get me wrong, it was really good. But then we did one in December, and that was fantastic. So we sort of decided, actually, the amount of people that came, the interest that was garnered, like it's definitely a big jump from 3 or 4 years ago. So I think maybe now it's time to really invest in that. So we got a 40-foot container and sort of kitting that out with a commercial kitchen now, and a toilet. To meet the licensing, to get the on license, was you have to have an accessible toilet and a kitchen on site, and then once that's done, then we'll go through the alcohol, which I've mostly done. It's just sort of like you get the building sorted, and then they've got something to issue against.
So will the kitchen be operational the whole time you're open?
I have to be, yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be.
So you won't just revert to takeaways for takeaway beers, I mean.
Well, yeah, I mean, we'll only have the on license on certain days. Like, we'll just have to start and see which days work. And then, whether the weekends are good for families, because, we've got Bellblock just across the road. Or it's just going to be a Thursday and Friday thing where people finish work and just want beer and their feed, or mixture of both, I suppose, take home some food.
We're talking to Doug, the Theoretical Brewer, and the name of the brewery is a little bit of a hint into your background. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
So I'm a chemical and materials engineer. I worked in the oil and gas industry for, I'd say my whole career, because I started out there down in Kapuni. And I was an operator on shift for 5 or 6 years, and there's a lot of time on night shift and weekends to spend reading about beer and theorizing about it, obviously. And I was quite new to brewing myself, and I hadn't met anyone in the brewing community where I would go and have brew days with them and that sort of thing, and maybe a bit shy back then, and being a lot younger as well. I was only 20s, so so I just got a lot of my knowledge off the internet, basically, and books and literature, basically. So,
what was your starting kit in your home brewing situation?
My wife bought me one for my birthday that year. It was a Mangrove Jack's, that little stainless. It was one of the stainless ones. It was a lot more dearer than the plastic buckets you could get back in the day. But I was like, if it's stainless, it's not gonna scratch up as easily as the plastic. So I thought, oh well, cleanliness is really important. Maybe we'll get to splash a bit of money and get that. I still have it actually. I don't use it, but I do have it. It sits in the corner there.
Nostalgic value.
Yeah. On the little one.
You self-proclaimed yourself as the brewer that doesn't market itself, right? But I look at the selection of the beers you brought us. They have a beautiful labeling, and also images on the labels are pretty amazing. Please enlighten us again. Who was the author behind all this branding?
So my brother-in-law actually I think he did some kind of graphic design from AG. I mean, when we started, I think he just sort of finished uni, and we're like, oh, well, he's sort of looking for a job. We can pay him some cash just to do up some drawings for us. Originally, they didn't have any color on them because we wanted to stand out as being black and white, because all the craft beers at the time had lots of color on it. So we thought, if we just take it all the way back, then like instead of competing with the color, you sort of use something different. But then we sort of realized, wow, I mean, with the demand from pubs and liquor stores, they sort of turned around and said, I actually would like to see some color on that. So we sort of put it on top as an afterthought. But,
they still have a distinctive look though. They do stand out somehow.
Yeah, I think they're quite clean. You know, they still got that black and white feel, and then that splash of color, which we thought like, oh, each beer can have a different color behind it. But like once you get down the track of quite a few beers, you sort of run out of these prime colors, and then these just go like, instead of red, it's pink. Or
I worked in marketing all my life, and this is one of the signs of a professional designer, that it's uncluttered look, lots of space, and this actually works really well with the fonts because you can read much easier. So and one of the beers that I tried there, and I see it in a bottle today, was chrysanthemum one.
Oh, yeah.
It brings me to the idea of Oriental cultures. So is any of you, your wife or yourself, have some ancestry in Oriental cultures?
Yeah, we're both from Malaysia actually. So
Okay.
we've both come from Malaysia. Like my family immigrated here when I was 12, and my wife moved here when she was about 17, I think. We met at uni in the same course. But yeah, chrysanthemum obviously is a bit of a tea back in Asia. Like it's a refreshing tea. And after we launched our Finch, which was our pale ale, and then our Pilsner, which was sort of like the core range beers that really sell, we thought like, well, the lager is really where the volume is. So we thought like, well, we could be like every other brewery and make another boring old lager, but we thought like, well, the lager is supposed to be refreshing, and the chrysanthemum tea is very refreshing as well. So we're like, well, what if we put them together? And my wife did all of the research. She sat down and did all the little mixes and stuff and came up with the recipe, and then we made one. And that was the first time we entered into the New Zealand Brewers Guild Awards, and watched the awards, and it was a bit patchy with the streaming, so we didn't actually see anything. It was like, oh, okay, we didn't get anything. Watched the replay the next day. It's like, oh crap, we got a gold for that, like for the first beer that entered, which was actually the first beer we made on our setup, on our brewery as well, that we had, like, it was hardly even, I would say, built. It was coming together, and we managed to fit a bit of wood in the tank to ferment that, and that came out, and we were like, oh, we put it in and see what people think. And it was like, because it was so new and different, and it was nice. It was actually quite nice that we got an award, and went, oh, okay, maybe we can maybe we're on the right track, you know. So it was good.
We've been sitting here for 15 minutes looking at these bottles. So we'll put a song on, we'll crack into those and share them around, and everyone can have a try. And then we'll come back and discuss them, and also we'll cover off some of the other awards that you've recently won, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because you've done well.
I didn't enter the Brewers Guild Awards this year because I ran out of money. I'm trying to build this bar, so a bit conscious of tight cash flow is a bit tight. So I was like, okay, no, let's be strategic about this. We build the bar, we can make some money, and then we can do the awards later down the track. So.
All right. So the second track that you've chosen is called "The Sound of Silence," and it's not by you know who and his buddy. They've just gone Black Paul Simon and Mark Garfunkel.
Yeah.
It is by Disturbed.
Wow. I love it.
Actually, are you interested in trying this? It's really good.
Yeah.
Right, should I have a little bit?
Yeah, I can.
You'll be obsessed.
So I'll have a little bit. I'm still driving tonight, actually. So
You are?
I'm super dry.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Really?
No, that's
Yeah,
not.
like a-
We
like
go
a-
drinking
Between
once a month.
tea and
Yeah.
Well,
Are you
I say
interested?
we go drinking once a month. The last time we went was about 12 months ago.
Someone
Yeah,
else.
no, it's just
I
like,
got
like,
busy.
yeah, this was the.
I got busy with the
Yeah,
bar,
exactly.
and I'm the guy who
I think that
organised
anyone
it,
else
so I didn't
would
organise it. It just
Yeah.
like fall by the wayside.
Good one.
So
What's that? Oh, we might share that one out, Nathan. But you keep that because we've all tried that.
Okay.
You keep that one. Yeah. I'll just try that one there.
what have
This
you got there?
Yeah.
I finished that one.
Oh. All right then.
Can I have a hazy? Well, it segues
yeah.
quite well into the top 30 thing that we
Yeah, good one. Good idea.
talked about before.
So how many glasses do we need?
It depends whether Douglas is drinking.
No, I have a
Three.
little bit, I suppose. Is that it? Alright, even a small one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What is it? Med.
Man, Hannah.
Medhera.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the New World Awards. We'll talk about what that is first, and then you can tell us
Yeah.
that you got in the top 30, which is quite an accolade, eh?
Yeah, well, there was like 7 hazies, I think. in the
This
top
this
30.
reminds me of a flowering yarrow.
Oh, that's young.
Really?
Mm.
I've never.
Have you smelled flowering yarrow
No.
flower?
I'm not a fan of yarrow. It's sort of a lot of it grow in my yard.
And Ole is waiting until he turns 18.
He has that little sip of beer every now and then. Is it just nectar off?
No,
I
no,
can't
it's
do
not
that again
actually.
on the camera. Warwick. It will be.
Oh yeah, true.
Nectaron and Mosaic.
Right.
Actually, yeah, Nectaron is. I don't know. I find it too green. You know?
Green.
Yeah,
Green.
it's
Yeah.
too.
Coffee.
Yeah, it's not hoppy. It's not like the traditional hoppy. You know, like they jump out at you. I think Mosaic and that do it better. Mosaic and Central do it better. Whereas Nectaron's really rounded.
I don't know what the fuss is about nectar on. Really?
What is
Bloody
nectar?
marketing, I think.
Is it like
It's
a
a, it's a quite new hop, and the
No.
marketing they released it under a code number.
Yeah, they pushed it too hard.
Yeah,
I feel like, you know, like it's a good hop, but it's not like Mosaic or Citra or Reworker even. You know, like Reworker's fantastic.
Great hops, great hops.
So
They made it seem like if you managed to get hold of somebody was sort of special. So
Yeah.
everyone was trying to get it, but it's not even that good.
like, hey, it's not bad. It's
not
not
bad.
bad. You know, like I think there's better hops out there. So, supposed to spend too much money on the research, but they have to claw it back some
yeah,
somehow.
they're a monopoly, New Zealand. hops.
Oh.
So it's
I didn't know that.
brings some dynamics.
Yes. Well, I think well, the taxpayer paid for all of the
Yeah.
research.
State-owned,
And then they just
couple
Is it like a Callahan research?
No, it's New Zealand Food Research Institute or something. It's basically taxpayers paid for it, and then somehow the company took all the. They had a fight about it. They had a fight about it or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know much about that. It's not ideal.
No.
Welcome back to Taranaki Foodies with Huakai Bar and Bistro. It's Elena Williams and Warwick Foy today with Douglas from Theoretical Brewer. And while you were listening to the song, which was called The Sound of Silence by Disturbed, we were trying one of the beers that Douglas brought, and it was called Mad Hatter. And it was amazingly refreshing, a bit cloudy. Was it cloudy? Hazy, my imagination, not. And to me, it flowered like the meadows in Siberia that I remember from my childhood. It's pretty amazing. What was the secret of this beer, Douglas? What's special about it?
I don't think it's very special. It's just a pale ale that we haven't filtered basically, and we put more hops into it, obviously than usual. And then
Where does this flowery scent comes from?
yeah, from the hops,
From the hops,
hops.
okay.
Yeah, I mean we use a mixture of American and New Zealand grown hops for this one. And,
It is an award-winning beer, though. It has come in the top 30 for the New World Beer Awards.
yeah,
Wow.
So
yeah.
the format of that, I'm not an expert on it. It's like every other competition, breweries submit beers, but I know it's pretty big. So to get in the top 30 is a good accolade.
Yeah, we were we were pleasantly surprised ourselves when we saw that, and I think it may have been down to the sort of category because a lot of people expect like a hazy to be very, very hoppy, very punchy. Whereas I've submitted this under like a hazy pale ale, which is a little bit more subdued, just sort of cleaner beer. But we're still that hops, just not at that level that like everyone, when people go down to pubs, they want hazy and they expect that green and then 6% type thing. Yeah, we sort of dialed it back a little bit, mostly because of the cost of the hops, and then obviously the cost of the alcohol tax. So we sort of say, we'll do it at 5 on the hazy pale ale. But it also makes it more refreshing, and then it means that one low alcohol people can have a few more at the pub, and also it doesn't become heavy or cloying towards the end, so you can sort of have that extra few and it's not over the top. And I think for us that's what clinched it. I mean, I think it was like something like 700 and something beers entered into the Newell Awards, so to come top 30 for that one, and then our coffee porter and a hibiscus sour got into the top 100 as well this year, so that was pretty cool. So
yeah, congratulations, and I think you described the reason why it came perfectly well. Yeah, I think the whole hazy world, is it a fad? Is the fad ending?
Well, I don't know. When we first started, when we first started brewing, when we did our first few contracts out at Mike's, obviously Mike, Mike's, they had a proper filtering system that could take all the haze and everything out of it, but like the little bits of trials that we did in our garage, and we put it into the hourglass was a big supporter of us at the beginning. People would comment like, "Oh, your beer's not clear enough." It's like, yeah, I don't have the setup yet.
So you were just relying on settling.
Yeah, just settling it out basically, and like 50 litres was almost pointless trying to get a little filter for that. Just the amount of hardware you needed to push that through. I was like, we'll put it out there. The beers were still pretty good, I thought, but obviously that's what the market wanted.
Yeah,
and it's changed, and that's what we call the Mad Hatter and a little blurb at the end. It's like, maybe this will catch on.
Gotcha. So yes, Hourglass does serve Theoretical still.
On and off. I mean, they have the taps that rotate, sort of thing. So yeah,
I've had your beer at Mike's Brewery Bistro.
Yeah, Mike's a big supporter of local beers. Obviously, we use Tim early in the piece, and now he's sort of turning around and he's using our beers, I guess, for his bar and whatnot. So
cool. Where else can people buy the Theoretical Brewer beer?
Most of the Lickland, sorry, Fitzroy, another one, really good local business. They have supported us from the get-go. Same as the one from Powder Room, and they used to own the one on, was it Powder Room and the end of whatever.
So the Powder Room one is by the mill.
Yeah.
So they also retail.
They've
The same owners as the Hourglass.
Oh,
is it?
I think so.
No, I don't think no. I'm not sure. Anyway, so Powder Room, they've been a big supporter of us as well, and we've got into the Older Lodge, and it's been quite popular down there.
On tap,
yeah, on tap down there, and Jenna, the lady who orders it for the Older Lodge, she's now starting to order it for the Plymouth Hotel as well. So that's fine.
I think the hotels, dare I say, and also the airport, sometimes miss the mark. It's usually a contract situation, but when visitors come, they want to try.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Get into it.
Yeah, it's been quite interesting actually, because since when Mike's moved into town, I think that's when a lot of the interest sort of started picking up. As Shiny Peak was just started basically, and then Three Sisters was coming in, and Mike's was coming in, and then a lot of the local businesses sort of turned around, why we're going to stop all of these beers when they stay here and walk down the road, and because we're all about block, it actually was to our benefit that they started stocking our ones instead as a little bit of a point of difference, I think.
Yeah. If listeners are not aware, it's sometimes really tough because the big breweries will pay for fridges and it's really stacked.
They own the taps as well.
They own the taps, so it is tough, but it's great for those businesses who are able to support local breweries.
Yeah, no, it's been really good. So, and most of them want to. It's just sometimes the contracts have sort of locked them down. for a set time. So it's just a matter of time and marketplace changing, I suppose. So.
I looked at your labels and I've noticed that all the titles of the beer are very imaginative, like Mad Hatter, Enigma, and some other ones. So how do you come up with the title of a new beer?
Well, like I said earlier in the piece, as a chemical and materials engineer, so with a science background, and I take a bit of an interest in the development of technology, science and technology, and what have you. So try and put that a little bit into the naming of the beer, and try and build in the story behind it into the blurb. So that, like, it's like you're having a beer, but you're sort of learning a little bit.
So Atomic Porter.
Sorry.
What are the other names? Atomic.
The Atomic Gold.
Atomic Gold.
The Atomic Gold and the Transporter. There was a bit of history in that one. The Quantum Eraser, and whatnot. And so with the Finch, which was our first beer, like our flagship beer, we're like, oh well, I've probably been working on that recipe for like 2 years, and so we thought like, like the Finches of the Galapagos Island, like how they evolved,
as a bird.
As a bird, like how they've evolved to, become what they are. We thought like, oh well, the beer slowly evolved to become what it is, and we thought, oh, we'll put that in.
Nothing to do with chemical engineering.
No. But yeah, like science in general, So
there is a pattern across your beers that they're not big, smash you over the face, with hops or alcohol. They're more subtle, more cultured, perhaps.
Because when we started in brewing for Taranaki, it was very much a DB sort of region still, and they weren't ready for big hoppy beers, and you found the ones when they came in, they wouldn't last that long, like the big IPAs and all that you wouldn't find them on tap. You'd find maybe a pale ale or a pilsner, because they're still easy drinking, so you have to like sort of train up the local population to drink solid beer. And you look at Shiny Pig and Three Sisters and how they're putting out all these weird out there beers now, which is awesome, and something that we'd like to do once we have a bit more time after this bar is built. So.
The whole market of craft beer, boutique beers, and things like that are kind of a cultivated taste in a way, because beer is supposed to be an easy drink for a working class, but the boutique and craft beers are actually the drinks for, in brackets, the hipsters. Is that true?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
look at Warwick, he's a hipster.
Well, once people sort of go down that path, like after you've had a few of these pale ales and pilsners, you're like, oh, okay, that was good, and then you go back to your standard run of the mill stuff. You're like, this doesn't taste as good, and then it's actually like, what more can I get out of a beer? Like when they start moving down, like to the IPAs or the wheat beers and like different styles of beers to sort of explore that range, because there's such a vast array of different flavors you can get out of them. So
beer is considered a dude's drink forever. How many of your customers are females?
It is still very much a male dominated. Although in saying that, like there are still ladies who would come in and buy some for themselves if they've had a big day at work, or if they've got something planned for the weekend or whatever. We did do a hibiscus sour. Like we thought, as a beginner sour, so it's a very mild sour. That we thought, like, we'll push this a little bit and just see how it goes. And like the first year we made it, like we stopped out probably 2 weeks. And it was like, it wasn't that small a batch, it was about 600 liters, and it sort of just went quite fast. And we thought, oh well, there's a bit of a market for that.
I've just opened your Enigma brown ale, which obviously refers to the Alan Turing and the code and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it is my favourite of your beers. It's a style that is not common. I can't think of another example of it locally, but it's just really delicious.
I think there was another brewery that made one, and it was pretty good as well. I can't remember the name of it now.
Well, you're not doing marketing. As a marketer, tell you stop doing this.
No, with the brown ale, because I actually wanted to make like a red ale,
Okay.
and obviously my choice of malts made it brown anyway, so it didn't come out as red as I wanted. But yeah, I mean the hop combination. We went for like an American brown, and we've actually found like I found that the hops and the malts that were clashing too hard, like there was just too much going on. So we actually backed off from the hops a little bit. So there's still something there. There's a bitterness and there's a little bit of on the nose, but it's actually the malts that are shining through.
It's all about the caramel, isn't it?
Yeah,
I was
there's a
going to
lot of
say that it feels slightly like a burnt caramel, but not too much because there is not too much of a burnt
no,
taste or too caramelly.
It's almost
So
like
it's very, very balanced.
It's almost like biscuits and Milo sort of flavors that come through. There is still bitter.
Milo, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's quite Milo. Like if you smell it sometimes, like it smells like a Milo. You know?
Nathan,
So, but then it's it's just something different because like we had the Atomic Gold, which is the next beer, and the first one, which was a pale ale, and obviously the hazy, and we've got all these hoppy beers, so we thought like we'll shift the balance a bit before it gets to a porter where it's just sort of like your more burnt flavors.
So you moved to New Zealand when you were 12. Obviously, your parents were born in Malaysia and spent most of their lives there.
Yeah.
So how did this happen? Because beer, European beers at least, have very distinctive difference from the beers in Asia. Are they drinkers, or what is the traditional Malay drink? that you
Well,
use?
Malaysia is a Muslim country, so Malays don't drink, I think.
Okay.
But I mean, Southeast Asia was colonized, from back in the day. So a lot of the beer stuff's actually very much European, basically. I mean, Carlsberg have a brewery in Malaysia, and they hold, I think, one of their yeast stores. They've got a very unique yeast that was one of the original ones that was one of the first beer yeast to be discovered. I think they store that there, and it's become its own strain or something. I don't know. And then you've got like Bintang, which was obviously Dutch. So a lot of it through like Pilsner style from, back in the 1800s or whatever it was, like really light beers, because that's what was popular on the continent. So they just brought the same beers, and that's what they've just been brewing, and that's just how the styles develop. And of course, being a hot country, Pilsners, lagers, they just go down.
They just
Like,
I went to Vietnam and I found this craft brewery in Ho Chi Hoi An.
Yeah.
And I went in there and I was like, wow, this is great, it's cool. But then I actually didn't really feel like drinking any of those solid beers. And I just went back to the old.
Yeah, because it's hot. It's just
Yeah.
hot, Like you don't want that. Like at night, it's okay. You can go around at night, and when it cools down, you can have a few different beers. But in the daytime, you're just like, oh man, it's hot. I'm sweating and need to rehydrate. So
The real pale lagers, they go down a treat beer.
yeah.
So there's different ethnic groups in Malaysia, though. Am I right?
Yeah, it's Malay, Chinese, and Indians, and then all the little subgroups, I guess.
So, but the Muslim faith would go across all of those groups, or only some of them.
Mostly the Malays, yeah.
Okay, so that's how come you're able to have a beer because you're a Chinese Malay.
Chinese Malay, Chinese Malaysian, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm not 100% on that. Like most of my ancestry come from China, I suppose. So during the Exodus,
What part of China?
Fujian province near Thailand, so on the mainland side, I think. Not 100% yet.
Okay.
So sort of slipping away on this enigma, but we would go to song, Alina, and then we could come back and wrap up with the porter, the transporter.
Transport. Let's do that.
All right. So, Doug, really interesting taste in music. I've enjoyed the two tracks that you have chosen. This one, I've never heard of the song. I've never heard of the band. I've never heard of the album.
Oh, wow.
And it's called Untraveled Road by 1,000 Foot Crutch. Where are they from?
Oh, yeah, I heard it on the rock one time, and I was like, oh, this is all right. And
All right.
I went looking for it, and I was like, oh, I think it was some pretty decent music.
So you like heavy music, right?
I was just more like the rock, I suppose. I guess it's just my age group, I suppose. It's come through a bit of rock and whatnot.
Here it is. Oh, quite like that too.
So, Jason, would you like to do a review on the beers that you tried? Or are you okay without it? You happy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Can you say something distinguishing about this beer, apart from the fact that it's a beer?
What do you normally drink?
They can drink some, whatever.
Probably summer ales.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, especially
you'll
in summer.
probably
But
like something like that. And
That's a very nice.
Yeah.
experience.
I think it does need more hops, but
But that's money.
hey,
It's money.
it is money. Yeah, it's
I think my favorite is a Manhattan.
yeah. I mean, by far we sell the most of that.
Oh, really? It's the most popular beer.
Yeah.
this was the most experimental one that I've tried.
it's very subtle. That
Yeah,
one.
totally great.
Chrysanthemum.
Yeah.
What a great innovation!
Yeah, well,
And I understand you came up with that.
no, my wife. Did. Well,
Yeah,
my
you-
wife, we
you
sort
both-
of like, oh, let's.
No, I
try
remember
this.
the story actually, but what a good
Yeah,
so
so,
concept of taste.
yeah.
Sure.
So she developed like I think we both decided like, oh, hey, let's try this, put it into that, and then like she worked on it in
Yeah.
the background and was like, oh, let's
I
do
was so
this.
surprised when I had it first.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
It's
just
like-
it's just
Otherwise I
like
wouldn't
with
be able
that
to drive
touch
home.
at the end, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
for sure.
something different.
I just drink beer all the time and don't put on as much weight.
Like I
as
said
do.
about the sour, it didn't really taste
Is
like
it
I was
Ocean
drinking the
Boy?
beer.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that is a
Yeah,
different style of
house
beer. It
guy
just has a different
Yeah,
flavor.
that's
Like
right.
lactic acid. sort of
Yeah.
Yeah, because
so,
it's hard to eat
yeah.
when you
Yeah. Doesn't need anything.
come back from work.
Have you had the COVID yet?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, after the
How'd
beer
you go?
event.
Oh, really?
Jeez, knocked me over
Yes,
the
same.
first 2 days.
Horrible, eh?
But like as fast as it came on,
Yeah.
it sort of dissipated quite quickly.
And I think it's the vaccine.
Probably.
system.
Yeah, I would say so.
Good to go.
I
I missed you at the festival. I walked past and I saw you. I thought, I must come back and.
didn't even see you. To be
when
honest,
I
it was
came
so
back, you were
busy.
gone.
Yeah.
You were having a break.
Yeah, it was real busy actually. Like I just was like, no. I dragged a mate to help me
Ah, yeah.
on the second day because it was just like someone. I think Dylan actually came over and he's like, "Have you got any help for tomorrow?" I'm like, no. It's like, well, they just said there's like 2.5 times as many people, and I was like, oh shit. Was it 2000?
Oh, okay. Oh.
Maybe.
It really backed off when the rugby came.
Yeah, it did. But like this crowd that stayed, like they were committed, you know.
They were.
They, were, like, they really wanted to go around and try different things. So it was
I
like,
actually thought it was good value.
I have no idea because
Oh, yeah. You wouldn't.
I was behind the stall list. And so,
I
You know,
think
you-
if you like,
you think you get a tiny little
say
glass
something about
that's
the
like
experimental
$8 and
nature, like
You
Yeah,
can
the
do
glasses
this.
were a good size.
yeah, you could get like I think it was end up being like 250 mils or something,
Yeah,
which was alright.
it was good.
You know, in this day and age, it's like, oh, well, you probably the same price you pay at the pub anyway, you know, if you went out, but at least you can get little samples going around.
There we go.
You'll be coming. Hey, this is Taranaki Foodies with Huakai Bar and Bistro. And while we were listening to this music, we tried some beers. And one of our videographers, he is Nathan Griffith, and he tried some of the beers, and he would like to give you a review on it.
well, the two beers that I tried with the lager.
The beers, and he would like to give you a review on it.
Well, the two beers that I tried with the lager and the sour beer. And with the sour one, I noticed that it had a dominant sour and sweet taste to it. So
Is
beer,
it hibiscus sour?
that's right. And the taste of the beer actually played a background role in that beer. I noticed more of the sour coming through and more of the sweet coming through as I drank the beer. And the second one was the tea.
The chrysanthemum lager.
That's right. And that one was amazing because that had an element that was added to that beer that really sort of filled a blank for me. It was sort of like a missing piece for. I had an element that was added to that beer that really sort of filled a blank for me. It was sort of like a missing piece for. I drink a lot of summer ale and summer lagers.
Yeah.
And this one had that refreshing taste to it.
Yeah. I guess for the chrysanthemums, because they're sweet, they've got a distinct chrysanthemum flavor as well. And if you put too much chrysanthemum, then you actually get a ginger note come through, which a lot of summer ales do have. And that's why we don't put that much in. It's just striking that balance between chrysanthemums and getting that gingeriness that comes out of the leaves and stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you, Nathan, for your review. And we tried the Transporter, and it's a beautiful dark beer, and dark's one of my favorite beers. I still love the Mad Hatter the most, to be honest. And Douglas said that it is the most popular beer, so hey, my tastes are with the crowd. What do you think about Transporter, Warwick?
It's my second favourite beer that Doug makes. It's just got all the hallmarks of a great porter. So it's 6%. It's got a really smooth body. It's got sort of toffee, raisiny, chocolatey.
Your
flavours.
raisin definitely
Definitely
comes.
raisin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always. Well, especially as it starts warming up, that like really starts to come through a little bit, and I
A
always
little bit
say
of a
raisins.
smokiness.
I always say raisins. Yeah, I think it's even in the description.
Mm.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Like we put very small amounts of roasted barley into it, just to give it a bit of that acrid acidity.
It's
Yeah.
good.
You're really good with the balancing thing because in none of your beers something is overpowering or too abusive. So everything kind of is in a friendship situation.
Yeah, balance is important, like
Yeah.
everything in life. But balance is to the style of the beer. So that's like the the porter style is an English style beer. So like traditionally the water that used to make the original porters were always quite salt laden. So we actually do add a lot of salt to make the water heavier to help carry a lot of that.
So
flavor. So,
you're the chemist. Is that alkaline or acid?
it's not. It's neither. It's just salt. So it's
Like
just
chalk.
minerals.
Mineral.
Yeah, like chalk. Or we do add a bit of like actual table salt for our dark beers because it just rounds it and takes that burnt flavor off a little bit. So,
You have to create a special beer for oil industry workers. Something about it.
I'm not so
Black
sure about-
gold or something.
Yeah, black gold. No,
As a chemist engineer.
yeah, I don't know. I've moved. I mean, like Taranaki is a big oil and gas town, obviously, but I've sort of moved away from that sort of thing. I mean, like moving with the times a little bit. I sort of noticed
Yeah.
maybe the world is a little bit warm at the moment. So
That reminds me of when I was in San Francisco with my wife and we were renting a car, and it was a hybrid which we liked. We wanted to try that, and the rental guy said something. And my wife said, "Well, actually, it's good to think about reducing carbon emissions because we have global warming." And he must have been a bit of a trumper, and he said, "Oh, right now it's really cold in Michigan." Okay.
Well, it's about time
Okay.
to wrap up. And what are your plans or any projects that you're handling at the moment? Is there anything you would like to kind of share with us?
well, like I said earlier, like we are looking forward to having our on license launch sometime this summer. So it's really down to a bit of construction work and getting the license finally sorted. But watch the space. We'll put out some advertisements and all that closer to the time when we know we're going to launch. And that's really it, I guess, at this stage. And it's been such a massive project from my point of view. We're just really focused on getting it done right and launching properly, and then run that and try and smooth out all the kinks, and then maybe we'll make some plans for later down the track. But yeah.
I'm really impressed the way you started out with your dream, and you've just chipped away and you've grown, you've developed, and you're making really good beer these days, and it's a good story. So find yourself some Theoretical, especially the Enigma and the Transporter. The whole range is good. Do you do
No.
specials?
Especially the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, maybe we might do a special with the Mad Hatter. I do have to shout out to my wife Marilyn. She's like supported me the whole way and paid for a lot of
For your hobby.
Yeah, it was a very expensive hobby, which originally was the plan was for me to brew beer so we'd save some money and not buying as much beer and paying down our mortgage a little bit quicker. So,
Right.
Didn't
So
work out
thank
as
you very
well.
much for coming. It was a pleasure to see you.
so
Journey.
thanks guys for having me. That's really good.
Yeah. It's time is 4:45. We'll wrap it up, and I'll say goodbye over to you, Lena.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
everyone. Let's see each other on air at 4 p.m. every Saturday, and we're going to take some selfies and put them on Instagram. And see you next Saturday.
Thanks to Huakai.
Awesome. I think